Hello and welcome to the News Minute. I am Dhanya Rajendran. Joining me this week are my colleagues Shivani Kava and Anisha Sheth to discuss two stories that we have done from the state of Karnataka. It is about the anti-conversion bill in the state. When the Congress came to power in May 2023, one of their big promises was that they will repeal this law. At that time, Siddaramaiah had spoken to the News Minute and said he will surely repeal the law. It was also said in the Congress manifesto. But the Congress conveniently seems to have forgotten about repealing the law and what are the consequences on ground. That is what Shivani and Anisha have been investigating. So the Congress may forget its promise, but we will not. And that's what we promise through our journalism, stories of impact. Let me tell you that's possible only because we do not take money from any governments, so we can question them. We're a completely ad-free platform. We depend only on you, the readers. So do become a subscriber. It's now a joint subscription. You take one subscription and you get access to News Laundry and the News Minute. Shivani and Anisha, two stories. The first story by Shivani was about how the sub-registrar offices that are supposed to register weddings are actually asking couples to show their Aadhaar card and also that their parents have to come as witnesses. So the first story, Shivani, is an investigation that you did into how the sub-registrars are asking for the parents' consent or the parents to be witnesses when there is an interfaith marriage to be registered,
Yes.
right? So could you explain why you did the investigation?
So we were approached by an interfaith couple, a Christian woman and a Hindu man, who wanted to register their marriage at Indiranagar sub-registrar office. So they had gone to inquire about what documents are needed to register the marriage. So one of the requirements that they were told was the woman's parents need to be there as the witnesses. So according to the law, you need to have 3 witnesses. So that can be anyone who's above the age of 18. It could be your friend, your colleague, or any acquaintance. There's no specification or mandatory thing that you have to bring your parents. So they were quite shocked about why was it necessary to bring parents, and specifically 2 of the woman's parents, and the third can be the man's parents. They even went to the lawyer's office near the sub-registrar office, and that seemed to be a pattern because the lawyer also insisted that
Bring your parents.
bring the woman's parents. That's when they approached us. So we decided to go and check what is happening in sub-registrar
So
office.
you pretended that you're about to get married.
Yes, that's what I did. Visited around 9 sub-registrar offices. So among them, one glaring point for me was when I visited Shantinagar sub-registrar office. The official asked me to come to their cabin, and she's like, so you want to register your marriage under Special Marriage Act. How old are you? So I go like, I'm 25. I'm a Hindu. Then she wants to know what the religion of my partner is. And I say 28-year-old Muslim man from, because they also want to know specifically what place the person is from. And then I mention it's Kerala. Then she goes on to ask, basically in a way like, are your parents okay with it? Because I asked them what do I need to bring my witness, what kind of witnesses are needed? And she says parents are necessary. And when I questioned why parents, because the law doesn't mandate that, she goes on to say, we prefer parents. We want parents as mandatorily to be the witnesses. And there was no scope for negotiation there because she wasn't ready to listen to what I was going to say next. That was it. Like, you have to bring your parents and you have to get Aadhaar card of the bride and the groom.
So what did the rest of the sub-registrars tell Shivani? You have to read that story on the News Minute. You can go to our Karnataka section or our homepage. You will see that story. I want to now turn to you, Anisha. So what Shivani is saying is also a consequence of the anti-conversion law, right? The law itself is so stringent, which was brought by the Bombay government, which basically puts the onus on the couple. That is, if anybody comes and complains about your interfaith marriage, then you could be in trouble. So is that a reason why the sub-registrars are insisting on this?
See, it's hard to tell, but I think that at a psychological level, it does play out in the minds of government officials, because tomorrow somebody may come and ask them, or, create a ruckus or whatever, that kind of a situation they may face tomorrow. And it could also be, see, they may be government officials, but they're also very much a part of society. So it could also be their own personal prejudices, perhaps, which could be at play here, which could also be a consequence, or they may generally be wary of interfaith marriages because as a consequence of the law having been passed.
But what does the law actually say? In fact, I remember reporting at that time that the Karnataka law is quite stringent. Some of the clauses which were struck down by the Gujarat High Court as unconstitutional were included in the Karnataka law. So just quickly explain the Karnataka anti-conversion law.
See, ironically, it is called the protection. Okay, wait.
What is the law called, Shivani?
Protection.
Okay, it's called the Karnataka Right to Protection of Religion Law. Okay, but what it actually does is it prevents anybody from changing their faith if they want to. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you want to marry, don't want to marry, I mean, not planning to marry, it doesn't matter. If, say, tomorrow I find that I want to adopt a new faith and not the one that I was born into or not the one I was taught in my family, then I can't do it. You know, like say if I want to officially...
Technically you can do it, but it's a very difficult process.
It's very difficult, so difficult that it actually makes me a criminal for wanting to change my faith. You know, because so the process is that if you want to convert, like say if you want to undergo an official religious ceremony of any kind to convert, then I have to go to the district magistrate in the district where I was born. File a declaration 30 days before I want to convert, and then even after I convert, I have to file another declaration explaining, giving a whole bunch of documents, including details about the nature and the process of the conversion ritual itself, and Aadhaar card, identity proof, etc. And then this again has to go back to the district magistrate of the district where I was born. And then I have to go back...
Get the clearance.
No, 21 days later, I have to appear in person before the magistrate. And then before the conversion process, after the conversion process, the district magistrate will call for objections. And if there are objections, then they will conduct an investigation on whether or not my intentions are genuine. So then I have to prove, and this is a specific clause in the law, that the burden of proof is on the person wanting to convert. And then I have to prove that I was not induced by anybody, I was not given any kind of allurement, as the law likes to call it, to prove that my intentions are genuine, that nobody else influenced me to convert.
So for those watching, what Anisha is talking about are people who want to convert. Shivani's story is about interfaith marriages, where the law says that if you are having an interfaith marriage, no matter if you want to convert after the marriage or not, a lot of people do not convert after an interfaith marriage, right?
Yeah.
But still, there's a 30-day window where anybody can raise a complaint. It's not just your family, right, Shivani?
Sorry, just a minute. Like I forgot to mention the part where it makes... one of the things about allurement, one of the definitions of allurement is also promise of marriage. Now say two people fall in love, they want to get married and they happen to be interfaith, okay? And for whatever reason, the relationship falls apart or one of them doesn't want to do it or whatever, it doesn't matter. So then also it leaves, one of the parties open to abusing the law. Because then you can say somebody promised to marry me and then didn't. Relationships can fall apart for all kinds of reasons. Also, the conversion of a woman, a Dalit person or a tribal person or person of unsound mind punishments are harsher. So basically means that if I'm a woman who wants to marry a man of a different faith, then the law is going to be extremely harsh on me because built into the law is a logic that I cannot think for myself. So it's so patronizing, so patriarchal and casteist that, so then what happens is that the, man has to bear the brunt of the law.
What did you pick up from the story? Was this the reason why the sub-registrars were being very strict?
So we did speak to a few of the few of the bureaucrats there, and they did mention that a lot of times the sub-registrars impose these kind of rules, made up rules, because there have been instances where parents have come and complained to the sub-registrars saying, why are you registering the marriage? Because we have not consented to this, which is why the bureaucrats think that could be one of the reasons why sub-registrars are coming up with these rules, but do not have the authority to do so, because Special Marriage Act is for those who do not want to convert and want to have a secular marriage without any custom or anything. And there's also provision to register your marriage under the act if you've already married. But here, what we are seeing is sub-registrars just imposing some made-up rules, and
they're also asking for
Aadhaar card, yes. So the difference is that for online application under the SMA is that Aadhaar card is mandatory, because the online portal where you register requires because Aadhaar is the only way you can the authentication happens. But offline, you can use any government issued ID, but some of the sub-registrar's office insists that it has to be Aadhaar card.
So I suggest that you all go read the story. If not for anything else, and Shivani pretended to be wanting to get married at least 9 times, which is a record, Shivani. Congratulations. And to Anisha's story, which is also very, very important and took more time to actually execute. Now, the story is how the law, the anti-conversion law, has been used to harass people. So Anisha has got her replies through RTI as to how many cases were registered under this new law from 2022 to 24. And surprisingly, 9 cases out of 30 were registered during the Congress government, right?
Yes.
So did you speak to a lot of people who were at the receiving end, basically were booked, and were there couples in that?
Okay, so there were 30 cases that we found according to the RTI reply. And so I went through each of the FIRs, and so what I found is that the majority of the cases were booked against people for for attempts to convert them through allurements to Christianity. There were a few.
The accusation was that.
The accusation, yes, the accusation was that. Similarly, there were other complaints with regard to accusations that somebody was trying to convert someone to Islam. There were some cases which pertain to interfaith couples as well in that, but the majority of them were for people who've been accused of trying to convert others to Christianity.
So let me just interrupt you there. When the marriage, it's the parent who's complaining.
Yes.
That there is a allurement or somebody's trying to convert my daughter, right?
Yes, in some cases, yes.
And what did you find about those people who are accused of trying to convert people to Christianity? Were they genuine cases, or what did these people say?
So, in a lot of cases, charge sheets have been filed. Basically, the investigation is complete, and then, the police frame charges, and then it goes to court. But in a lot of cases, the police have actually filed what is called a B report, which means that, there's nothing in the allegation. When you read the FIR, some of them are, quite strange. I was standing in the middle of a road, and, somebody came up to me and, I was, riding on my two-wheeler on this road, and somebody stopped me, and then, tried to convert me, abused my gods, and, said if I convert to Christianity, Jesus will look after me, and my health will be taken care of, education will be taken care of, all that stuff. Like several FIRs read like that. It's like a standard language almost, which is remarkably similar to what Hindutva activists keep going on and on about all the time. So, and this is not a coincidence, because in 2021, the year before the law, came into being, PUCL, the People's Union for Civil Liberties in Karnataka, they found that 39 attacks had been carried out against Christians, and in every single one of them, it was extended activists of the Sangh Parivar which were behind it, local activists.
In fact, Pooja Prasanna, our colleague, had done 2 very crucial stories that year about how these attacks were timed so that a push could be given for the law.
Exactly.
So attacks happened, and some of the MLAs of the BJP were
BJP
in
MLAs,
the forefront of some of these protests. And immediately a bunch of these groups go and petition the Chief Minister with a draft law. They go and give it, immediately the BJP brings it to the assembly. So there was a whole pattern here. Now, before we wrap up, so do read Anisha's story, because she has spoken to at least 6 people against whom cases have been filed using this law. And some of it is personal vendetta, like somebody doesn't like somebody because of some other reason. They're just putting a case under the anti-conversion law. The real question here is, why has the Congress government, which came to power making this particular promise, not repeal this law? Shivani.
Interestingly, they did. They did say in 2023 July that they are going to repeal the law. In the cabinet, the decision was made, and after that, we did reach out to a couple of people in the ministry as well to find out why they have not repealed the law, or did they even know that like law existed and people
Wait for the answer. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
They forgot about it.
Institutional memory loss.
That's exactly the
Yeah.
word which is used. Institutional memory loss. People told us they forgot about it. One minister said, really? Is it stuck somewhere? What happened? I said, I don't know. I'm asking you.
Didn't he say, didn't we already repeal it? Is that not what he
Yes,
said?
one person asked
Yeah.
if we already repealed it. I said, we have been trying to find, but clearly you have not. So they forgot about it.
Yeah.
This is one of their promises and they forgot about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to remind you, the havoc that it has wreaked in a lot of people's lives is not something that is easily, it's not trivial. Like 30 people have been arrested under this law, and like everybody that I spoke to talked about how they've just been accused of just simply practicing their faith. They want to pray to a particular God, and somebody says, who are you to do so? But, at every point they've been asked. This one woman I spoke to, she talked about how her neighbors, her own neighbors, the entire village turned up at her house one day and said, you need to you stop praying to Jesus, stop doing all this. If you want to do that, leave the village. They harassed her to a point where they cut off her electricity connection, water connection, and some of them were, Gram Panchayat elected representatives. So they did, in fact, have that kind of control and influence, rather. So there's so much going on.
Though they forgot about it, the point is that there are consequences for this law. And this is a major promise by the government at that time. So our question is also to the Congress, to both these stories, that what have you done about your promise? And to the Sangh Parivar groups or whoever are behind these cases. Because even if the law is repealed, if the BJP does come back to power at some point of time, I'm sure they will try to bring the law back. So just wrapping it up here, telling everybody to please go read these two stories, because it took weeks of reporting. It's not really easy to track down some of these people and to make them share their life experiences with us. And of course, Shivani had to pretend multiple times that she is getting married. So do read these stories, do write back to us. Tell us if you have had experiences with sub-registrar offices where they've insisted on things that are not even part of the law. We would be glad to do stories about it. And as I wrap up, reminding you again, this kind of reporting is not possible if readers do not pitch in. So do become a subscriber. And if you did not know, now if you take a subscription of the News Minute, you also get access to News Laundry, all their podcasts, all their shows, and even their stories behind a paywall. So do keep reading news. Do keep watching and listening. Thank you very much.